What is happening, folks, and welcome back to Gizmo Gamez for something a little bit different today. As you guys know, we've just finished Layers of Fear 2 on the channel, and I thought we would do something else. I spend a lot of time playing these games and I talk about them as I play them, but very rarely do I ever give you a full review on a game, so we're going to do that today. But I'm just going to jump right in, guys, and let you know how I feel. I have to stress that this is my opinion, and it by no means is reflected on the game or the developers. Alright, so as expected from Blooper Team, the game looks and feels terrific initially. The realistic graphics help to build a believable environment for storytelling, and things like the background music and the sound effects provide an intense atmosphere throughout. This is it's sort of supported and added to by the voice acting, which I have to say I thought was fantastic. It was delivered expertly well, very hauntingly as well, which so credit when credit's due, that was really good. The way they constantly change the environment as well is something that you'll recognise from Layers of Fear 1, and that mixed in with kind of the trademark nightmarish paintings that you see around the place. And little things like flickering lights or doors opening and shutting on their own. It kind of helped make you feel pretty vulnerable and pretty lost in the game, and that in itself is terrifying, so they did a good job there. However, that's kind of where the similarities end, along with the positives, unfortunately. Anyone who played Layers of Fear 1 will know that these games should not be expected to be forthcoming with their story. It's a mystery, the whole thing, and you need to try and figure it out as you go, and it doesn't help with the fact that your character that you play as tends to have some sort of mental breakdown and issues along the way. However, despite the horror and trying to decipher the protagonist's mental stuff, Layers of Fear 1 has still managed to create an enthralling and dark and intriguing story that was, I don't know, still easy enough to piece together as you went along. But, and this is a big but, the sequel, the one we just played, Layers of Fear 2, it kind of fails to deliver on that aspect, in my opinion. I keep going back on it thinking maybe I was just stupid and didn't get it, and maybe you guys will watch my videos and go, how is he not understanding what's happening here? And if that's the case, let me know. But that is where the problem lies for me, if you get me. Almost, it's like the story's so weak that I actually couldn't figure out what the whole plot was, and therefore I don't know if it's just me that couldn't figure it out. It was, you know what I mean? I'm trying to explain it, but it's not working. But I don't know. I kind of took a guess, as you know, when I was playing it, at what I thought I was right, and what I thought the story was about, and maybe I was right, but kind of nothing in the narrative or even the ending offers enough development to guide the player to understand what's going on. The other issue you have with a weak story is that it tends to mean weak characters, and I think that's kind of how I felt in this case. It was true in this case, in my opinion. I felt like I couldn't really connect with the protagonist, James, and in fact the longer the game kind of went on, the less interested I was and the less invested I became in him, and kind of got to the end of the game just being glad to be at the end of the game, instead of thinking about what's going to happen to him. Speaking of the end of the game, since we're still talking about the story as a whole, I don't know. For me, the end of the game was extremely disappointing. The game seemed to sort of rush through its final 2 acts, only to reveal one of 3 endings. Each one is anticlimactic, as the other, and none of them shed much light on the point of the game in total. In fact, after completing the game, I went online to look for answers, and it seems being confused and let down by this story is something that's quite common and shared with other gamers. And so after doing 12 episodes, as you know, each episode lasted, half an hour, I was left kind of feeling like I had missed something, or I don't know, maybe I just felt a bit empty after it, as if I hadn't really accomplished anything by completing the game. Layers of Fear 2 gave us another feel for some of the aspects that we know made the first game great, but it kind of failed to develop a gripping sort of intense story. It instead focused on tools like the creature feature. We had the formless man, I think his name was in the end up, who just randomly kept popping up through. He was very active in Act 2, as you know, and I spoke about him throughout the series, but he got to the point where he was just popping up at unnecessary points. When you were busy trying to do something, he would appear, and he actually became more of a nuisance than a fear, and that's when I think they've overdone it. Bloober Team seemed to think that filling a game with kind of shocking imagery, like the mannequins, for example, posing them in all different things, whether it was like a murder scene or hanging at one point, which was, admittedly, I did react to that. It was a little too close to the bone for me, but that's for my own reasons. Between that and mad scribblings on walls and stuff that look like they've been done by a child with severe issues, they felt like that, mixed with jump scares, albeit very good jump scares, was enough. They thought that all that was enough to kind of get them through and make a successful horror game. And yes, the shocking imagery gives you a fright, and the jump scares, obviously that's why they're called jump scares, but it's not enough. It felt like an unfinished game, if you get me. It was like, these things will scare people, so we'll put them in, and then they got very lazy with the rest of the game, story wise. It was almost like a half-hearted attempt. But the truth about it is, and this is the this was the deciding factor for me when I was kind of writing my notes for this review. I kind of thought to myself, when I look back at the videos, the one bit I really enjoyed about the game was Act 3, and that was because we actually revisited the house from Layers of Fear 1, which, having looked online, by the way, according to the reviews online, it's not meant to be the house from Act 1, the house from Layers of Fear 1. They have used the exact same house, but it's not meant to be the house, so even that was disappointing to find out. I thought it was like a cameo to the story, or it had a point to the story, but apparently it doesn't. But had this game came out before, if this had been the original, if this had been the first Layers of Fear, the one we've just played, then I wouldn't have been psyched for a sequel the way I was before we started the series. It kind of diminished the series for me a wee bit, the franchise, and it was disappointing. I think they didn't, Layers of Fear 1 was such a success, and a lot of people loved it, and I think the developers thought, if we just make it sort of similar, people won't really care what the actual story is about. They'll just think, oh, this is a Layers of Fear game, and automatically brand it as a good game. For me, that's not enough to make a good game a good game. If I was to score it out of 5, I'd probably give it a 2. Albeit, I'm not a professional, I'm just a fat dork sitting playing computer games because you guys like to see me jump. And there was moments for that in this, but not enough to say that I thoroughly enjoyed the series. And I think you guys can see that from my reactions. I've always tried to be honest with my reactions, and I'll continue to be, whether whether it's a good reaction or not. However, I am glad to be back recording for you guys, and there is a new series coming to the channel. You guys probably seen that already. We're doing Last of Us 2 next, so please stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, do all those wonderful things you do for my channel, and I will see you all in the next video. Goodbye.